Good evening, it's 7:05. If you have not helped yourself to a tea yet, please feel free. We can wait for 2 minutes if you'd like to grab a refreshment.
We have to do black tea, Steve.
Oh, the black tea is sleeping. This is my sister Mike. Her real name is Michelle, and I want to thank her for helping out tonight. She is the hostess with the mostest. And thank you, Cindy, for agreeing to this lovely opportunity. Thank you all for coming. I can't wait. I'm dying to see how many people signed up. So, we have 13 readers tonight. So that's awesome. Thank you so much. So tonight's occasion is the launch of a new anthology which features haiku from 13 different countries, over 100 poets submitted, and I chose my favorites because I was the editor of the anthology. Lucky for me. The project took over a year to complete. It was joyful in every way with the exception of having to turn some poems away. That was really tough for me. I have submitted for years now. I submit my work to online and print journals all over the world, and the acceptance days are whoop, 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 and the rejection days are like that. And so it's not easy to send a letter letting people know, I'm sorry, but thank you for submitting, but I'm going to pass. But for the most part, it was really such a pleasure, and I felt as though I had enjoyed a cup of tea with so many different cultures, so many different people. And reading these submissions, I had an opportunity to get a little flavor, a little taste of their lives. There's a lot of personal things that come up when you write haiku. To me, writing a haiku is so much more potent than taking a photograph. When you write a haiku and you read it 10 years later, it brings you right back to all of the emotions that you experienced around what inspired you to preserve that moment, that time that caused you and prompted you to write about this occasion, event, whatever it was. It's way more potent than a photograph, and I invite you to try it sometime. First, I want to erase everything you learned in 3rd grade. Are you ready? So raise your hand if you learned in 3rd grade that a haiku is 3 lines, and the first line is 5 syllables, the second line is 7 syllables, and the third line is 5 syllables. Raise your hand. So pretty much the whole room.
We're traditional. Old school.
So here's the deal. If you were living in Japan and your native language was Japanese, that would be true. Your haiku would be written in 575 syllables. But tonight, I don't see anybody here from Japan. I'm not hearing the Japanese language spoken. And we kind of missed a few little chapters here in our education because in English-speaking countries, we do not, in present day and probably for the last 75 years, write haiku in English in 575 syllables any longer. Now, am I going to throw away a haiku that someone sends me out of love and out of friendship that's written in 575 haiku? Absolutely not. I'll appreciate it, I'll love it, I'll respect that there was an effort put here. But here's the thing. Once you understand that haiku is no longer written in that syllable count, you're free to actually write a true Zen moment, to record that moment as 3 lines, choosing the right words, the right language to express yourself, instead of being caught up in, oh no, I'd love to use that word, but it just has too many syllables. There's none of that. That's not happening anymore. Thank goodness. Instead, you are recording the moment, capturing a moment of time, sharing an image, present moment. Often there's a juxtaposition where the cut at the end of the second line. If the middle line is a pivot line, meaning you could read the first and second line and have one story. You could read the second and third line and have another story. It's like peeling an onion. You read it once, peel off the top layer. Read it a second time, peel off another layer. Read it a third time, peel off another layer. It's story after story unfolding in a really good haiku. Those are really hard to write, I just want to tell you that. But they're brilliant. Sometimes when I'm picking up one of my haiku journals from somewhere, and I come across one of those haiku, I have to stop, I have to make a cup of tea, and then I have to savor that haiku. I have to say, I need a cup of tea for this haiku. It's like that good. So to me, tea and haiku just naturally go together. Art and tea go together. Creative thinking and tea go together. Tea is kind of my life. It's been around since I was this big, and it helps me to think, helps me to kind of come down. Like when everything is falling apart, I think I'll just have a cup of tea, and then everything's okay. So that was my prompt, that was the motivation behind putting out a call to people all over the world saying, submit your tea haiku. I'm putting an anthology together, and people did. So right now, and I would love you to interrupt me if you have any questions about any haiku. My sister has educated me recently. She basically said to me one day, I don't really get it. And I thought, wow, I hadn't really thought about that. I just go along my merry way. Oh, everybody knows what haiku means, blah, 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 blah. It's not true. It's just like verse poetry. I meet people who start to talk about poetry and they slowly start like walking away. And, you know, I'll talk to teachers. I'll talk to them about, would you like me to come in and offer some poetry classes? Yes. People are a little bit afraid of poetry. They're a little bit afraid of haiku. And I think I get it. I feel sad about it. I wish everybody got it because I tell my students it saves my life. The beauty of poetry and haiku is that in this chaotic world, when you get into bed at night and you start to despair over all the things that we worry about, just move the slide and start thinking about language and words and capturing something that was beautiful or that you enjoyed, and find just the right language for it. And pretty soon, you're happy. You're feeling occupied. Your brain is no longer, you know that brain I'm talking about, right? That brain. You don't want that brain. So I'm going to read a few of my favorites from the collection. I will read each haiku twice because they're very short, and I want you to have a chance to digest. I'm not going to mention author names because you don't know these people and it will just add to the time. I will tell you when I get to my two. I have one haiku from most of these poets. I chose two haiku from certain people around the world that I just couldn't resist grabbing a second haiku from. I read over 2,000 tea haiku about a year prior to creating this. I was working on a tea haiku spread for a journal. An editor asked me to do an art spread around tea. And so I contacted a gentleman in Santa Fe, Charles Trumbull, who keeps databases of haiku by theme topic. And I said, Charles, do you happen to have any tea haiku? And he said, how many would you like? And I said, what have you got? And he said, well, how about I just send you the ones that I've recorded since the year 2000. I have 2,000 in that database. I said, okay. So I wanted 5 tea haiku for that project. So I read all 2,000. No, really. And I loved them, but I whittled it down to 50. And then I whittled that 50 down to my top 5. And I created the artwork around those top 5 and published it that way. So that kind of whet my appetite a little bit on helping me to determine how do I decide what I really love for tea haiku. And here it is. But these submissions had nothing to do with Charles' database. These were people who responded to my call. I set this anthology up in alphabetical order by author's last name. And I was quite delighted by the profound first haiku to appear. The author's last name is Amos, so she just happened to have this first position in the book. And before I say that, Tea, All the Time It Takes, happened to be one of the full haiku submitted by Sandra Burns, who lives in Santa Fe. I know I've mentioned that city now twice, but it just turns out to be a lovely place with a large group of haiku poets. Tea, All the Time It Takes. I was crazy about that haiku, so I asked her permission if I could use it as the title, and she said yes. She was delighted. So here's the first haiku. Discussing end-of-life options, oleander tea. Discussing end-of-life options, oleander tea. Heirloom teapot, pouring my heart out. Heirloom teapot, pouring my heart out. He winds her obi in the tea house parking lot, the scent of lilacs. He winds her obi in the tea house parking lot, the scent of lilacs. A friend of mine, some of you know Darlene Bergeron Burns, she lives locally. She and I have compared notes about what our grandmothers served for tea. First tea I ever had was with my grandmother, and she served red rose tea, but Darlene's grandmother served tetley tea. So here's Darlene's haiku. A taste of the past, tetley. A taste of the past, tetley. Into winter, the last drop of oolong leaves the gooseneck spout. Into winter, the last drop of oolong leaves the gooseneck spout. That was an award-winning haiku, by the way. Early morning bird watch, Billy T. Early morning bird watch, Billy T. I'll bet you can guess which country that comes from. Holding, being held, morning tea. Holding, being held, morning tea. That one was also by Sandra Burns, who wrote the title haiku for the book. She's a wonderful poet. Autumn again, after everything, I pour her tea. Autumn again, after everything, I pour her tea. What I love about so many of these haiku, you could go down so many paths in your interpretation. I always feel a certain sadness when I read that poem. But it might make you feel joyful. It all depends on where you're coming from when you read it. That's the beauty of reading these pieces. Steeping tea, the changing scent of steam. Steeping tea, the changing scent of steam. All Souls Day, I place a cup of Earl Grey on Mom's grave. All Souls Day, I place a cup of Earl Grey on Mom's grave. Do me a favor, never leave Earl's Grey on my grave. I don't like it. That's all I want to say. So you heard it here, Dennis. Dennis is enjoying this. English breakfast for me, please. And I just learned from Finley. Stand up, Finley. Finley's grandmother lives in Ireland. I just learned Finley believes that her grandmother and I would be best friends, and her grandmother drinks Irish breakfast tea, which I like very much. And Finley and Stella and Ellie. Which Ellie?
H.
Ellie H. They all wrote poems for tonight's event, so we're going to hear from them really short. Yum Cha, my son, teaches me new words for old ways. Yum Cha, my son, teaches me new words for old ways. Sun tea brewing on the back stoop, scent of honeysuckle. Sun tea brewing on the back stoop, scent of honeysuckle.
I think my daughter-in-law, Crystal, makes sun tea. Am I right, Crystal?
For your son, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Still is, yeah.
yes. How many people here make back porch sun tea? Anybody else? Wow, quite a few people.
I see a great little thing.
That's very cool. Birthday morning, while everyone sleeps, I sip rice tea. Birthday morning, while everyone sleeps, I sip rice tea. The tilt of a sparrow's head, green tea. The tilt of a sparrow's head, green tea. Tea ceremony. It begins and ends with an empty cup. Tea ceremony. It begins and ends with an empty cup. Cup of tea. The moon still until I sip it. Cup of tea. The moon still until I sip it. I love this one. Moving day. We share a pot of tea on the doorstep. Moving day. We share a pot of tea on the doorstep. I love all of them, but. And this never happened with my sister and I. My doll's tea set, crushed between floorboards, sibling rivalry. My doll's tea set, crushed between floorboards, sibling rivalry. Teacup on the map of Vietnam, leaving a stain. Teacup on the map of Vietnam, leaving a stain. That's quite profound, wouldn't you say? Music 2 centuries old, the color flows out of the tea bag. Music 2 centuries old, the color flows out of the tea bag. Old couple, how gentle she pours the tea. Old couple, how gentle she pours the tea. The gossip at her bridal tea, sparrows. The gossip at her bridal tea, sparrows. This poem and the next poem were written by a woman by the name of Deborah Kaloji. She passed away in her early 60s last year of cancer. She was from California. She had way over 2,000 published haiku. She was brilliant. And in order to publish her work here, I knew I wanted to represent her in this anthology because I was working on it last year. And when people own a lot of published haiku and they pass, someone is in charge of their literary estate. So I had to receive permission from her son, who was in charge of her estate. I have a couple of other people in here that I wanted to represent as well, because I love their poem and I wanted it preserved this way. So I reached out and found the person in charge, and I was really delighted. This is another one of Deborah's poems. Exotic tea leaves, trying to understand my choices. Exotic tea leaves, trying to understand my choices. Tea leaves, not settling for just anyone. Tea leaves, not settling for just anyone. A taste of twilight in her tea, letters sent home. A taste of twilight in her tea, letters sent home. Chamomile tea, the house settles in your absence. Chamomile tea, the house settles in your absence. Oolong, pico, tasting each sound. Oolong, pico, tasting each sound. After the funeral, a single cup of tea. I cried a lot getting these submissions. You can only imagine. It's really, truly like getting to know something very personal about people. This is the beauty of haiku. It's, as in all poetry, yes, it's your interpretation, but we all carry something to the table. The Japanese say that a haiku, the moment a haiku is born is when someone else reads it. And you can understand the truth of that. When I read this haiku, of course, your mind goes to people you know and what you've experienced, and it just really leaves a big impression. Bamboo forest, caged songbirds in the tea house. Bamboo forest, caged songbirds in the tea house. Green tea, calmly discussing her cancer. Green tea, calmly discussing her cancer. This next poem by Marian Olson, Marian has passed away. I'm nuts about this poem. I feel a little bit like it's a death poem, which you read about in Japanese haiku. But I just love the way she worded it, and her husband gave me permission to print it. If someone should ask, tell them she loved ginger snaps and tea. If someone should ask, tell them she loved ginger snaps and tea. If someone should ask, tell them she didn't like Earl Grey tea. Tea ceremony. The kimono-clad woman folds, refolds the napkin. Tea ceremony. The kimono-clad woman folds, refolds the napkin. This is another one of my favorites. Rooms to let, dandelion tea. Rooms to let, dandelion tea. Can't you just see that sign as you're passing by on the highway? It's just so delightful. North Shore Mountains, the torn edge of my teabag wrapper. North Shore Mountains, the torn edge of my teabag wrapper. Fading light, a camellia petal brushes my teacup. Fading light, a camellia petal brushes my teacup. Cold tea in the teacup, no more to say. Cold tea in the teacup, no more to say. Over the stove, tea bags clothespined to a string, cold water flat. Over the stove, tea bags clothespined to a string, cold water flat. The next page has two haiku by the same person, Brian Rickard. I'm really fond of his work. Lighting the match that lights the fire, morning tea. Lighting the match that lights the fire, morning tea. And filling it with tea, the emptiness. Filling it with tea, the emptiness. Tea for one, the steam moves the way we used to dance. Tea for one, the steam moves the way we used to dance. When you lose someone, everything reminds you of that person. It's just such a lovely sentiment. Herbal tea, a sniff of lemon before slicing it. Herbal tea, a sniff of lemon before slicing it. Golden hour, a honeybee stirs in the tea garden. Golden hour, a honeybee stirs in the tea garden. I love this. This gentleman's from Poland. While we talked, a tiny fly drowned in my tea. How can you resist that? I just couldn't. Autumn twilight, I switch off the lamp for tea with the moon. Autumn twilight, I switch off the lamp for tea with the moon. Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? I like this one too. From the island where the river forks, an old song at a tea dance. From the island where the river forks, an old song at a tea dance. Steeping a pot of hibiscus tea, the first hum of wings. Steeping a pot of hibiscus tea, the first hum of wings. Red berry tea, the birds just starting to sing. Red berry tea, the birds just starting to sing. Twilight in the old tea house, filling the lamp. Twilight in the old tea house, filling the lamp. This is from Vince Trippi. He has also passed. This one is delightful, coming up if you love cats. Tea ceremony, a saucer for the cat. Tea ceremony, a saucer for the cat. Sun tea darkens, bees in the hollyhocks all afternoon. Sun tea darkens, bees in the hollyhocks all afternoon. Kept for years, the bitter tea made of pretty flowers. Kept for years, the bitter tea made of pretty flowers. How long we sat together, our teacups empty. How long we sat together, our teacups empty. Her love letter in his tea, the taste of orange blossoms. Her love letter in his tea, the taste of orange blossoms. So the majority of the book was called Now, and at the very end I have a section called Then. I couldn't resist representing some of the masters. Basho, for one, who was considered the father of haiku. He was born in 1644. Rice field sparrows, in the tea fields, their refuge. Rice field sparrows, in the tea fields, their refuge. The next one is by Shioni, born in 1703. Tea flowers, their blooming delays the dusk. Tea flowers, their blooming delays the dusk. The next one is by Busan. I'm sure you've heard some of these names. Fireworks reflected in a tea house pool, the moonlit evening. Fireworks reflected in a tea house pool, the moonlit evening. The next one is by Esau. Earlier now, her afternoon tea, unraked leaves. Earlier now, her afternoon tea, unraked leaves. And the last one is by Shiki, born 1867. A cedar stands tall above the tea house, autumn sunset. A cedar stands tall above the tea house, autumn sunset. And on that note, I will end. Any questions? Yes?
Are you going to read yours?
You know, this is pretty funny. I actually skipped that page by accident. I just thought, just let it go. But thanks for asking. I will.
Want to see who the girl is.
I have two in this book. The paintbrush in my tea again. The paintbrush in my tea again. And it's really true. Because if you're painting and drinking tea, beware. Because it happens more often than you know. And the second one is warmed by your teapot with the mismatched top. Warmed by your teapot with the mismatched top. So a few years ago, my sister and I visited a relative who has since passed, and he gave a teapot to a friend of his. We went to her house and brought lunch there to have with him and her. And she had the most delightful teapot, and I learned he had given it to her, and he was a saver and a hoarder, and that's an understatement. And he just loved the teapot, and he didn't have a top, and he had a different mismatched top, and it was just a thing of beauty. And so here is the haiku, forever and ever. I'll never forget that moment, that luncheon, him, his lovely habit of putting things together, and it does still warm me. So that's that haiku. Any other questions or comments? Yes?
I was trying to figure out, were they still 3 lines? Is there any rule at all?
Most of these were 3 lines. A couple of them were 1 lines. Those are called monoku. I'm nuts about monoku. They're really challenging and really fun. There are so many forms now morphing out of haiku. I'm delighted by it, but some people who are purists might not be.
Still, traditionally, you're looking at 3 lines. Most haiku published in English language today, most journals are 3 lines. But you'll occasionally see a 2-liner. You'll often see 1-liners. One of these poems with the tea dance was a 4-liner. Those are really rare. But good question. Thank you. And yes, you're just not following the 575. And it's really kind of poo-pooed. Most editors won't even look at your English language haiku in 575. It feels very stiff. It's like trying to put your foot into Cinderella's slipper. You're just really force-feeding the language. You're counting. You're choosing words based on the count as opposed to what really fits the moment and capturing it. And it took me a long time. I wrote hundreds of 575 haiku. I loved haiku from the time I learned in 3rd grade. And so I went and earned a master's in poetry at Lesley University. And by the way, verse poets don't really talk to haiku poets, and haiku poets don't really talk to verse poets. It's like never the twain shall meet. You're one or the other. I'm one of the rare people who do write both. But all through my master's at Lesley, nobody talked about haiku. Seriously. So it was after I had a master's in poetry, I discovered that there was a haiku group in Western Mass. I joined, and lo and behold, no one was writing 575 haiku. So I just really dug in and started reading like crazy. And at first, it was really uncomfortable for me. Like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to write haiku anymore. This is really hard. What's going on? How do I know this isn't just a short poem? And I belong to a couple of monthly critique groups. You want to trust your groups. You want to bring your drafts and get, it's discussion. If you have a thin skin, forget it. Don't even think about joining a group. And it's very helpful, it's very positive, and it's fun to some people. Thought I'd add that. Some people like Earl Grey tea, Dennis, they do. So that's the story. Any other questions? Yes, Sid?
How about the ginger snaps?
The what? Ginger snaps?
Number of gray.
I like ginger snaps. My sister makes probably the best ginger snaps on the planet. It's true. We don't have any tonight. I just thought I'd Yeah, she does. Any other questions? No, you've been wonderful listeners. Thank you very much for coming. I'm delighted that we have so many readers, and I can't wait to hear. And you were invited to bring the poem of your choice. So I think we're going to be hearing some nice verse poems. I'm going to start tonight with our 3 young visitors. I'm quite excited. So I'm going to start with my granddaughter, Stella. Come on up here, Stella. So Stella, I just learned, I'm going to brag for 1 second. I just learned that as a 5th grader, Stella just tested out at 9th grade reading and writing. Is that exciting?
That's my niece.
Yes. Thank you. So I'm excited. And did you just write this, or did your friend write this one? All right, so she has 2 poems. The first one is yours, and the second one your friend wrote, and she asked you to read it. All right, this is Stella Griswold.
My cat, so sweet, so fluffy and soft, she naps in the sun and purrs a lot. This one's by my friend. Puppies are fluffy and cute. Stella is my BFF. Me and her love bubbles.
Thank you, Stella. All right, I'm going to have her 2 friends come up. Ellie H., right?
I'm wondering if we can get them, if we could get them to do what you were doing and read them twice if they're short like
Okay,
that.
all right. Do you want Stella to come back up?
Yes, please.
Yes.
All right, come on back up. If you have a short poem, please read it twice so
Maybe
people...
just a little bit louder.
A little bit...
Speak up a little.
Okay, a little louder and a little slower.
So sweet, so fluffy and soft, she naps in the sun and purrs a lot. Puppies are fluffy and cute. Stella is my BFF. Me and her love bubbles.
Thank you. All right, this is Stella's friend Ellie H. We have to give the last initial because are there 4 Ellies in your class?
No, there's only 2.
There's only 2 now? 2 of them moved?
No, one of them.
One of them, okay.
It was 3.
All right, oh, there were 3, I thought there were 4. All right, LEH.
Autumn wind. Wait.
Did you write this one, Ellie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Autumn wind blows in my face. Autumn wind is in both face. Autumn wind twirls in my hair. Autumn wind can be anywhere.
Oh, thank you. And Finley, whose grandmother and I would become best friends if we could just meet. Did you write this one, Finley?
I actually wrote 3.
Okay, and so read the first one twice, then the second one twice, then the third one twice.
The cherry blossom tree. Blossoms falling from the tree, gliding in the wind, so delicate, like butterfly wings. The soft baby pink color reminds me that spring is coming. The cherry blossom tree. Blossoms falling from the tree, gliding in the wind, so delicate, like a butterfly's wings. The soft baby pink color reminds me that spring is coming. Fall leaves. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Me and my friends walking home from school, stepping on the fall leaves, trying to see who can get the best crunch. Wind blows, sounding like it's whispering falls here. Fall leaves. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Me and my friends walking home from school, stepping on the fall leaves, trying to see who can get the best crunch. Wind blows, sounding like it's saying fall is here. Denise. Denise is as sweet as sugar, calm as a tree in the wind, as happy as a summer day. Denise. Denise is as sweet as sugar, calm as a tree in the wind, as happy as a summer day.
Thank you. Wow. That was awesome, wasn't it? Hard acts to follow, right? All right. The next reader is Deborah Sakin. And by the way, if she's really glowing like a lot and you see her levitating, it's because she retired less than a month ago.
So I did retire less than a month ago from teaching high school English. And this is a poem I wrote about my students who, at the time, were in an English class called Advanced Writing, and they were seniors, and they were done. It was May. In and out. The students planted seeds at the sill, turning, chatting about conductivity, entropy, drama, anything but the present, the here, the now. Out the window, they, in and out this bright and shallow setting, wondering what world they would create once leaving. Here and now, they see their own translucent reflection. Here and now, she tells them in their English class, write your story, show your innards, a poem about growing, tell me what you see. But they, thinking for thought, wonder why and wherefore should I? Who will I become? I am calling me out this window. Here and now, they imagine dress up, a cap, a gown, a kiss goodbye. Little goslings dream, double in size as they gaze ahead into an unknowing future.
Wow.
I did.
I'll bet they loved it. And I'll bet they knew it was true.
I did try a haiku.
Okay, let's hear it.
So after a day of painting, which is what I'm going to do now forever, I wrote this. Golden leaves between pine trees, the woods afire.
Beautiful. That's what we like to hear, right? Thank you, Deborah. Nancy Marr. Nancy is an artist represented at the A3 Gallery in Amherst, and her work is out of this world. And she's a poet. So come on up, Nancy.
Cutting down the white pine, the tree that leaned. She was in the way, the fly at the picnic, that yellow jacket after your chicken salad sandwich. When we tried to relax on the back deck at night, we had to whisper. She was all ears. The roof of the house felt it most, never able to get his point across. She hovered over him so. Did you hear, she interrupted, the robin's futile attempt to make a nest in her slippery branches, gossiping just long enough so that the poor bird flew off, and who knows if she ever made a home for those bright blue eggs. She dropped her sticky pitch, spattered the freshly painted deck, sent down her pine cones too early, reveling in the whirlwind of squirrel tales about her. When the young arborist came, he looked up and put his hands on his hips, checked the safety latch on his miniature chainsaw dangling from his canvas belt, announcing, "I worry about wind." Then suddenly she was gone, a whisper of a bit of a tree stump. The sun moved in and took center stage. The house came out of its shell. That morning, the young arborist came with the tiny chainsaw and his boots with the spiky cleats. She looked extra luscious, the October night having wrapped her in dew.
True story about a tree that you lost?
It did. It was a tree my son planted on Arbor Day like 35, 40 years ago. And it just grew over the house, and so we had to cut it down like 3 weeks ago. And it was really sad. It happened.
So this is the eulogy.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And your friend Laura Holland. Come on up, Laura. I emerge. So, I have one poem that is about a dog, another is about a cat, and the same fox, possibly the same fox, runs between the two. So the first is Dog in the Wild. Something moves at the wooded edge of Wildwood Cemetery. A dog steps out, then stands still, watching me, waiting. Of course I'm nervous. An unknown dog could be dangerous. I look around for the owner to fasten the stray pet to its leash and affirm its domesticity. I don't want some spook canine leaping for my jugular. When no fellow human appears, I reframe what I see. The delicate build, the magnificent bushy tail, the red fur. This is not a random domestic dog off leash, but a wild fox in natural setting. Total delight replaces any sense of fear. Well, now we move on to the cat. A mere 40 feet from me, a fox stalks some small creature, obscured in shadow. Suddenly, there's an unearthly yowl, a flash of claws, and the two animals pivot 180 degrees. The fox races back towards safety in a cluster of trees, pursued by, is it possible, my neighbor's house cat? The fox and I must wonder the same thing at the same time, for it suddenly halts its retreat. Wait, am I being chased by a kitty cat? The fox prowls forward. A ghastly howl rips the air again. The cat leaps and arches in attack, channeling some ancestral saber-toothed tiger. This time, the fox leaps deep into the woods. Now, the cat ambles up to my porch, settles on her favorite seat,
and subsides into a boneless fluff of fur. Hurry. And is that a true story?
Yes.
Right. That's what they say, write what you know. If you're sitting here, well, I don't know what to write about, write what you know. It's all around you. David Malouf.
What is people doing here? Just arithmetic. 575 syllables adds up to haiku. I'll reread. Just arithmetic. 575 syllables adds up to haiku. I don't think that really changed it, but I wanted to show off my inflection. This next one is 2 parts. Why isn't there an opera called this? In flagrante delicto. What? Thank you. And there are dictionaries here in case you. Why isn't there an opera called this? In flagrante delicto. And part 2, or a pasta dish. No sauce, no sauce, no cheese, no extras, just noodles naked. Or a pasta dish. No sauce, no cheese, no extras, just noodles naked. Suspense. Hold my hand. Do not fear our touch. Lend me your skin, but give me your heart. That one wasn't supposed to be funny. That's right. Do it again. Hold my hand. Do not fear our touch. Lend me your skin, but give me your heart.
Thank you. Ken Pinsence is next. So Ken asked me, this is my husband for people who don't know. He asked me if he should read tonight. I said, sure. He said, do you have anything to read? So I did have something for him to read. This is about our dogs. So in our house, we joke a lot about the fact that if we're ever in a boat together with our dog and somebody has to be thrown out, it's going to be me. And so our first dog was a black lab, and I wrote this about the black lab and about Ken.
It's the first time I've seen it. So, spit smeared windows, claw scarred doors, slash torn screens, floors speckled in dry drool, feathers of black fur matted to the meat tray in our refrigerator. Between your teeth, you present her with treats. Give her couch time. Call her your little baby pants. I Windex windows. Wipe splashes off the seat. Keep company with our Electrolux vacuum. You used to be cheap with smiles, stingy with touch. Seldom said, I love you. But before she arrived.
Yeah, it's the same thing with this dog. It's the same thing with our little dog. Ann Macon, thank you for reading tonight, Ann. Ann was one of our winners at Club and Art Association. Our Art Meets Poetry. She wrote a fabulous haiku, and it was translated into Polish. Am I correct?
I wrote it in Polish and then translated it to
It
English.
was amazing. Yeah, you're a wonderful writer.
Thank you for reading tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a teacup, so I'm going to read it in Polish first. Does anyone speak Polish here? Good. It's called herbatka. Herbatko, mój wrogu. Chcecie lubić, jednakże smakujesz jak liść. So this, I wrote this at the beginning, like 2025 has been my year of tea. And so this describes my feelings about tea at the beginning of the year. The English translation is tea, my enemy. I want to like you, but you taste like a leaf.
Thank you, Anne. It doesn't get any better than that.
She must have tried it over right.
Yeah. It tastes like perfume, that's right.
You know what? It's one of my favorites.
Earl Grey? I feel like it tastes like perfume. I can't get past
But
it.
it doesn't taste like leaf.
She's right. My cousin Jid Charette.
Black tea. My cousins. My cousins. Black tea. My black tea. Cousins.
Thank you, Jid. Peggy Griswold.
Oh dear.
I have a visual aid. Okay, this is for you.
Orange and spice herbal tea. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow, she brought a gift.
I will tell you that
Something-
Den and I have been friends since 1977. She is like a sister of my heart, and I only had tea growing up when I was sick, and it was Tenerife or Red Rose or any of that. So Den, in about 1977 or so, started craft classes, and I am craft impaired. Warm mug in my hands, steam rises, scent of comfort, happy moment shared.
Oh,
It's the first time I ever tasted that tea.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. How many people only had tea when they were sick? Wow. And how many people still only have tea? Wow. Okay. Katie Boudreau. You came with Peg.
I did.
Be careful where I go with her.
Yes, you should.
Don't hold it against her.
I was misinformed. I didn't realize any kind of poetry would have worked, so I tried to do haiku. So the first one is 575, and then we get a little better. Muted shades this year. A dry summer leaves its mark, yet beauty still shines.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh,
Beautiful.
And Peg brought me to the Monet immersion exhibit this week. So the second one is just titled Monet. Water lilies and bridges, purple, blue, yellow, serene, beauty, joy.
Oh, she's retired English teacher then.
I can feel it. Could you tell? Alana, you are our final reader. Can I just tell the story before you? Can I just tell you the story?
Of course.
Okay, so this, I still have goosebumps over this. This is serendipity beyond serendipity. So Alana, my grandson Owen, plays
plays with her son, Alfie. And we've known each other over a year now. They're in first grade now. We're at a soccer game last week, standing next to each other. I didn't know she liked poetry. She didn't really know I liked poetry until she knew about this. So somehow we started talking about tattoos. And she lifted her arm first and showed me her beautiful acorns. And I admired them. And then she moved her arm like this. And I could see the word Margaret. Are you grieving over Golden Grove unleaving leaves like the things of man? You with your fresh thoughts care for, can you? It's Spring and Fall to a Young Child by Gerard Manley Hopkins for people who, how many people know this poem? Kathy. So apparently Alana thinks no one knows this poem, and I started to read the first line, and I went crazy because it's one of my favorite poems. It's about death, and she had no idea why I was responding the way. I didn't even know, I couldn't even speak. It was so overwhelming to see this beautiful tattoo of the first 2 lines and the last 2 lines of this poem. It's magnificent. And so that said, then she explained that what inspired her for this tattoo was a book by Joan Didion called The Magical Year?
The Year of Magical
The Year of Magical Thinking. So I ordered the book, and I'm halfway through.
Also about death.
Also about death. Yeah, it is. It's okay. So I did invite her to come and read tonight. She is not reading this poem. You have to go home and look it up. Spring and Fall to a Young Child. It's a beautiful poem. You'll be happy that you did. And it was only written
It was just as special for me too, I said, because nobody ever really responded or knew the poem, and so to have somebody with a relationship to the poem and such an intense one, it was equally.
Yeah, it was one of those moments where there's electricity between 2 people, like, oh my gosh, you not only loved this poem, it's on your arm forever. Like, wow, right? So it's incredible. So that said, I'm so happy you brought, but she also brought another juicy poem. So here we go.
I didn't write it. I wasn't that brave. The Way It Is, William Stafford. There's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. People wonder about what you are pursuing. You have to explain about the thread, but it is hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen, people get hurt or die, and you suffer and get old. Nothing you do can stop time unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread.
William Stafford, right?
William Stafford.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, and her little daughter, who's 3 now?
She's almost 3, yeah.
Yeah, decided to add a little art to it, let's show them. Because art and poetry are the best.
And if anybody wants to read Spring and Fall, it's on the other side.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone. I really appreciate this. This was so much fun for me. Thanks very much. Help yourself to, there's still brownies and a little tea. And again, Cindy, thank you for hosting this. Appreciate it.